it is going to be a great moment for the House. And you know what? At the very end, when some people didn't know if they could still even bring back McCarthy, a few of them just left the room and didn't vote. And the swamp is on the run. MAGA is ascendant. And if you don't think that moving from Kevin McCarthy to MAGA Mike Johnson shows the ascendance of this movement and where the power in the Republican Party truly lies, then you're not paying attention. But they are crying, they are hand-wringing and bedwetting over on K Street.
After nearly 3 weeks of all-out civil war, the House of Representatives has a new speaker, far-right Louisiana Congressman Mike Johnson. And with that surprising victory, Donald Trump's MAGA movement has now seized control of every lever of political power in the Republican Party. It's only going to get worse from here, because Mike Johnson is nuts. But not everybody got it right, and I know you've been following Rebel HQ's coverage of the chaos unfolding in the House, so I want to address my video from Wednesday, which was recorded before Johnson won his bid to become the third most powerful man in the country. And no, Mike Johnson isn't just some fake name Republicans made up. He's a real, actual person. But with just 97 votes from the Republican caucus, he's also the speaker candidate with the lowest level of support yet. That practically guarantees Johnson will be out of this race with lightning speed. Yeah, well, it's never fun to be wrong, but unlike most commentators, I'm actually going to explain to you my thought process, and why Kevin McCarthy and I now have something in common. Donald Trump managed to trick both of us. You see, Donald Trump was quietly making phone calls to House Republicans all day on Wednesday, urging them to rally behind MAGA Mike Johnson. At the same time, Johnson was cutting his own deals with Freedom Caucus members who were worried that he could be as toxic as Jim Jordan. But unlike Jordan, Trump expended real effort to help Mike Johnson win over colleagues. And unlike Jim Jordan, Mike Johnson also appears to be pretty good at politics. The result was a surprisingly secret and incredibly effective campaign that caught me, the media, and even Republicans like Kevin McCarthy off guard. What we know now is that McCarthy didn't see this big break coming for Mike Johnson until the voting actually started, putting McCarthy in the humiliating position of voting for a far-right extremist despite his repeated claims he would never back a Freedom Caucus fundamentalist. But Kevin being Kevin, when he found out the vote was going to be unanimous, he quickly lost his spine and voted for Mike Johnson. But my miscall and Johnson's secret campaign is actually a good window into the kind of speaker Johnson will be. He's proven to be something especially dangerous, a Republican who actually seems to be pretty good at winning over his critics. And that's especially bad because, I don't know if you know this, but Mike Johnson has some of the most regressive and authoritarian political views of any MAGA Republican. And as a former right-wing radio host, the new Speaker of the House is happy to tell you exactly what he thinks about women, gay people, and everyone else.
Roe v. Wade gave constitutional cover to the elective killing of unborn children in America. Period. You think about the implications of that on the economy. We're all struggling here to cover the bases of Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and all the rest. If we had all those able-bodied workers in the economy, we wouldn't be going upside down and toppling over like this. Listen,
the gentleman,
I will not yield. I will not. Roe was a terrible corruption of America's constitutional jurisprudence.
That's right. According to Mike Johnson, the reason Republicans need to cut Social Security and Medicaid is because too many selfish women had abortions instead of giving birth to American workers. You know, in case you needed any more evidence that the GOP views women as breeding machines and children as a future income source. Yikes. Now, stop and think for a second about what that actually means. What's the biggest reason Republicans' 2022 red wave collapsed? The answer is undeniably abortion rights. Multiple post-election studies have shown that the Supreme Court overturning Roe led to a huge burst in voter activity, and almost all of it was anti-Republican. And even Republicans admit that their anti-abortion extremism is creating real political problems in 2024. Republican strategists know that when elections focus on abortion, Republican candidates lose. And yet, even knowing that, they just elected Mike Johnson as Speaker, a guy who currently co-sponsors 3 of the party's most extreme national abortion bans. You simply can't make this up, folks. But even more concerning is Johnson's long record as the architect of the House's 2020 election denial efforts. Johnson championed the debunked and legally defamatory claim that Dominion voting systems rigged machines to support Joe Biden. Johnson's lies fueled the fires of conspiracy that led directly to the January 6th attack.
And the allegations about these voting machines, some of them being rigged with this software by Dominion. Look, there's a lot of merit to that. And when the president says the election is rigged, that's what he's talking about, that the fix was in. I could give you example after example in all these states. I don't know how much time y'all have this morning, but there's some of these lawsuits have a lot of merit, and we need to exhaust all the legal remedies. But they know that in Georgia, it really was rigged. It was set up for the Biden team to win. And they have a Republican Secretary of State there that's under massive fire because he kind of went along with all of it.
Now, you'll notice Johnson never provided any of those other examples because they don't exist. And those very credible claims of election fraud, all thrown out by the courts, including a healthy number of Trump-appointed judges. But Republicans didn't want to talk about any of that on Wednesday afternoon.
Mr. Johnson, you helped lead the efforts to overturn the 2020 election results. Will you
Next question. Next question.
For what it's worth, Johnson has also been a big opponent of American support for Ukraine, and his elevation to the speakership means that any future American foreign aid is now in question. That'll come as good news to embattled Russian President Vladimir Putin. Speaker Mike Johnson is now third in line for a presidency he actively worked to overthrow in 2020. But his election also reveals a GOP so addicted to extremism that it's willing to sacrifice actually winning elections in the process. The Freedom Caucus now has one of their own in the speakership, but the job of actually governing will be much harder than shouting. With the Kevin McCarthy era behind us, America now embarks on an even darker and more nihilistic speakership. 2024 can't come soon enough. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you liked that, check out this video.
That's best president of the United States.
All right, that's Donald Trump with his mugshot, right? It says never surrender.
Never surrender.
Okay, that is a picture of him surrendering to Georgia authorities, though, right?
And as always, leave a comment below to let me know if you like the new longer format of these videos, and also to tell me what you think I should cover next.